Hey everybody, it is Ben, aka the Fuseboxx. I am doing an early stream today, and you could probably tell. Uh, yeah, I'm all frazzled. I'm all over the damn place right now. You could probably tell just from looking at me. But yeah, I am currently working on my first edited video in I want to say 6 months, maybe more, maybe close to 8 months. I'm doing a review of the book for Raging Golden Eagle, Blade Devil, which I read, and I think it's fantastic. That's a spoiler. So I am here with one of our regular guests who enjoys tormenting me live on air. It is, of course, Rosetta.
Is 8 months worth the wait for you to do a video?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
People would wait years for one of my...
You might have a point, because that means you're not making as many videos.
You're just the worst.
You love me around.
So yeah, it is June, which means it is officially Saiyan Pride Month.
I have no idea what you're saying.
You know exactly what I'm saying.
Nope, not a clue.
Talking about the Saiyans. The wonderful denizens from planet Vegeta who have enriched our lives time and time again with their monkey tails and their ability to transform at both the full moon and into the legendary Super Saiyan. That's when our hair turns gold and our eyes turn green-blue. And, yes, I am a Saiyan myself.
Whatever you're saying isn't interesting. Let's get to the point.
This is the point, that I am a Saiyan. And that the reason I have blonde hair and blue eyes is because every time y'all see me, I'm in the Super
Aryan.
Saiyan. I'm in the Super Saiyan transformation state. I'm training. It's essential.
Right. My cat is sitting here staring at the computer like he's full of shit, isn't he?
Look, your cat probably knows more about Saiyans than you do.
What's your point?
My point is that you need to get on the ball. You need to learn about Saiyans and Saiyan pride and Saiyan ancestry.
Or I can just roll my eyes.
You're missing out on life. You're missing out on the beauty that is Dragon Ball.
It was never one of the animes I got into.
Well, it's important. It's important. It means a lot to the world.
Whatever you say. Is that what you're saying?
It's what I'm saying. That's a play on words.
No shit, Sherlock. You figured it out.
Plus, did you back Blade Devil?
I haven't been able to back anything for anyone for a long time because of all the stuff that's happened to my family.
Well, I meant Blade Devil, that was from 2 years ago.
I would have to go through the stack. I never got to really fully go through because of the trade show and everything. I have this whole stack of books I backed and I've never gotten to read them or review them because life kicked the shit out of me.
You and wise guys, I swear.
What about
it? Both of y'all. Y'all get these books and you don't read them.
I read what I could.
I need to wake up. I'm not awake.
Well, your brain never is, so how do you know?
I'm not awake. And I'm trying to be. My sleep schedule has been so fucked up ever since I quit this job.
What the fuck is sleep?
Well, it's basically a period of time where ever since I quit smoking weed, I have the most weird dreams that make me want to like sleep more because I feel like I have to rest from the dreams.
Oh, wait. Sleep is that thing you're supposed to do in the bed when you're not having sex.
I miss sex. Sex was so good. What the hell happened to sex?
I'm having it and you're not?
That's just so wrong on so many levels. It's wrong. But yeah, Blade Devil, the book by Raging Golden Eagle. I'm the one that I'm currently editing a review for. The animation for the first story in the book, Ghosts of the Past, is done by Toxic Man Baby. And Toxic Man Baby's style is directly homaging Akira Toriyama's style, which, as you know, is the creator of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Therefore, talking about Saiyans is totally on par with that topic. It all connects.
You lost me.
It all connects. Blade Devil would not exist if it hadn't been for Dragon Ball, and if it hadn't been for the contributions of the Saiyan race.
I don't have much to contribute other than here to tease Ben and make it harder for him to talk. Which I have to admit is really fun.
The Saiyan race, originally from planet Sadala, and then they migrated to planet Vegeta, and they conquered the people there.
Planet Regina, and they conquered the vaginas there?
Vegeta.
Close enough.
There are no vaginas involved. Well, there are
That's
female
just sad.
Saiyans.
That's just sad if there's no vaginas involved.
There are female Saiyans, so it makes sense. It all connects.
This is where I admit that I'm just senselessly torturing him so that he can't focus and finish a thought.
What's up?
Oh,
What's up,
damn!
guys? How's it going?
Oh, we're good. We're just,
I'm torturing him.
I'm
It's
just
my
trying to
skill.
talk about
I'm supposed
the
to skill at
Saiyan.
it.
I'm trying to talk about Saiyan Pride because it's Saiyan Pride Month.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I'm sure that that's exactly what they intended when they were doing the whole Pride Month thing.
Totally. What else are they talking about?
100%.
Do you want to get back to the topic of sex and what you don't have and what you don't think of enough?
I think of it all the time, actually.
But that's because you're not getting any. I mean, I knew you'd walk right into that one.
She drives me up a fucking wall.
And yet,
Yeah.
you're the one who put me in the group and keeps asking me to come on.
I set myself up.
Yeah, man.
So-
And
Odin.
then I watch the
Yes,
kitty in the
boy.
background and see what she's up to.
How have you been, man? How's it been going?
Oh, we're doing
Kitty
okay.
in the window causing trouble.
Just,
One moment.
yeah, good. But yeah, no, just hanging in. Got a live campaign that I was going to be closing down last night, but some shenanigans ended up ensuing with the person that was hosting it, and they had to reschedule, so we had to push it back. So
Oh,
these
shoot.
things happen.
Oh, shit.
It is what it is. All it means is that there's another week for me to make a little bit more money and push it over. We're pretty close to 10K. We're at 8,586. So
hell yeah.
that's
Sorry, I had to deal with the
that's
cat.
not a far jump. No, you're all good. Not a far jump at all.
If you wanna do the share screen, I'll pull it up on the.
Yeah, I can do that.
On the thingy.
Yeah. I don't think I've been on in a hot minute.
I don't think I've talked to you in quite a while.
I was on your show. I was on with Piper's Don't F It. I don't know, F It a week or so ago, and you were on. So I interacted with you a little bit there. But
you gotta give me some grace because I have really bad memory issues, especially in the short term.
No, you're all good. That's not me holding anyone accountable for anything. It's just that is the last time I saw.
I have your first Elysian Fields, and I haven't been able to back anything else in it because life's been kicking my ass. So I have that big bright golden cover off the first one you did.
Yeah, well, that's been fully remastered, along with the second book. So like this is a good place to try and jump back on if you're able.
Probably not. I bet they're fundraise thousands right now.
Yeah, no worries.
Life.
But yeah, so this is SPQR's Bizarre Adventure, which is my nice little mashup of Roman history and JoJo. It's Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon, and this here is our first page, and this is where the historical accuracy ends, as it turns into a JoJo-style stand fight between Julius Caesar and Pompey Magnus at the Rubicon River.
Oh my god! I've got a buddy who is in love with Roman history.
I'm just hearing Et2 Dragon Ball in my head for that comment.
No.
Well, show him the campaign, man. It's a blast. This has been a really fun thing to do, and Kari, our artist, is just absolutely fantastic. She's got all the art for the book, even the 6 extra pages that we ended up unlocking through one of our stretch goals. All of it's done. We're just doing the lettering and pre-press, and I'm waiting for the rest of the recolored pages from Elysian Fields, which, as I said, has been...
Back up a little bit. Go back up a little bit.
Yeah, this?
Look. Yeah, there.
Yeah, so this was done by Ink Art Louis. He's a very prominent artist that does a lot of like manga and anime art.
You know what you need to do for one of your specials to go with one of your campaigns? Some nice retro pencil styles with it.
Oh man, that would be cool.
Hint. You just have like a poster or something with one of their drawings that you have done with the like retro 60s pencil styles, something, I don't know, a little bit like this maybe.
Rosetta, you know how I feel about shameless self-promotion.
Yeah, you're all for it as long as it's you doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, I could always take a few extra jobs.
Hey, I'm not opposed to it. We'll see if we can't get something going on. And with that, we also have, as I said, Elysian Fields. We brought on a colorist to go over and redo the colors of the book. One of the big things that I got as far as things that could be better with Elysian Fields is that the colors were good, but they were a bit flat. And
I was gonna say, with the first version you did, the cover looked so much tighter than inside, and it was a good book.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, and the artwork wasn't bad. It was a little flat in some of the images. It wasn't quite shadowed really well on some of them.
Yeah, and so here's a good example of this is kind of what it looked like, because Marcelo was doing the lines and the color work, and so it doesn't look bad. But then when you look at this, where Avery comes in, who's our new colorist.
The shadows make all the difference. It's where I feel with my pencil work. That's why I spend so long on each page, regardless of what people are paying, because you can bang something quick out with very little effort. But it won't have that pop unless you spend the time to really do the shadows in depth.
Yeah, and then so like this is our remaster of issue 0. This is the cover for that, which is
completely different from that original.
Yes.
Wow, is that different?
Yeah, it's very pretty.
So honestly, the first cover was the crowning glory of that first version you did too.
Yes,
the cover with the metallics and stuff was tight.
Yes, and it looked beautiful when you had that like lava ripple effect going across.
And so I wouldn't mind if I could find a way to raise the funds to have the 3 set here and actually have the first version for the collector. You know.
Absolutely. And you're able, if you want, you're able to get, you're able to just back Elysian Fields issue 0, and then I believe you're able to add on Pyramid Gambit as well. So that way you have all of the story in the recolor, and then you have that original holofoil. We also have a limited print holofoil of issue 0 remaster on this as well. However many we sell is however many we're making. I'm allowing up to, I think, what was it, 20? Yeah. But yeah, it's a good time. We have some really great perk values. Our featured tier gets you everything that I've done so far since I started, from the Embrace through SPQR. The Embrace kind of feels like the odd man out here because SPQR and both Elysian Fields books at least have a little bit of correlation with them being, rooted in classical history and myth, and then Elysian Fields is, really sad superhero book. So, but you can get all of the 9 Realms catalog effectively in this beautiful collector box, along with an Embrace t-shirt, 3 mini prints, and a metal print of the art on the box. So, nice. And you get that for $85, which is not bad at all.
By the way, I need to talk to my friends, because there's a small panel I'm on with off and on when they can. That's actually the Knights of the Anime Roundtable, which I'm sure would love your style.
Yeah, let them know, and I'd be happy to hop on. As I said, we had to extend for another week, so they've got a little bit more time.
He's hoping to get those streams restarted in the next few weeks, so yeah, it might be something worth looking into.
Yep. And then yeah. So
I could see you getting along well with those guys.
I'm sure with the title of the stream itself.
Those are the guys who threw my birthday stream for me last December.
That's awesome. But we have a lot of great stuff on the campaign. We've achieved pretty much every one of our stretch goals. The only one we haven't yet is at 10K. We'll be doing a preview Ashcan for the Embrace 2 that all the backers will get.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, I'm loving it.
Yeah, man.
It definitely looks solid, and I do say that with all reverence. I mean, I sit there and I push people going, you want to hire me, but at the same time I know I'm very niche market, B, I haven't really done a few jobs yet, but I love this stuff so much and take it very serious. And so I have the box I have to go through in the other room because I kind of finagled them to give me a giant box from an estate sale for basically 50 cents a comic of old comics.
That's awesome.
Because I love comic stuff, and I had all these comics, and my brother's ex stole them when I was in Job Corps. So, the fact that I had the hardbound book with the Life and Death Doomsday Saga for Superman, and she stole it and sold it, should be grounds to kill her.
That's not good. That's
because you can't even find that book in collector's sites searching through them now.
No, like it is a very rare book.
And I miss it like hell. It was one of the best Superman before it started going downhill.
I don't know. Peter Tomasi had a fantastic run during Rebirth, and they even brought Dylan Jurgens back to do
They've had some
Excellent.
good runs off and on since then, but I think that was about the heyday before they started having more crappy ones mixed in with the good.
Yeah, like I would say, New 52 was a very dark period for Superman because they tried to make him
Edgy.
They honestly just made him an asshole.
There's a different. First
was
of all, I mean, there was something to each of the heroes had their own appeal. Superman was the golden boy. He was the one who wanted to save everyone. And the thing is, one of the things I liked with Doomsday is they had a few moments where he had the edgy, where he had the sweat and blood dripping from him going over my dead body and stuff like that. At least had some of the edge without taking away the golden boy. I love everyone. I want to save people attitude.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Because you can do both. If you want the edgy and the more vigilante and the darker asshole behaviors, that was always Batman.
Yeah,
exactly. And they foil each other well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the I was on Sugar Chris's yesterday, and I got into it with Sim over the Snyderverse, and I was talking about why Batman versus work is because if you have Batman and you have him as this very dark and pessimistic character,
they did have multiple times through the comics they were kind of rivals and didn't like each other.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They never went full out war with each other until modern time, but they were not exactly nice to each other. They didn't exactly like each other.
Yeah, and that's all well and good, but my whole thing is that if you're going to have one that's like down in the drudges and in the dark, you have to have the other one effectively be their foil, and part of that is making the character bright and hopeful.
And I felt like they lost a lot of that with that. They kind of made them both kind of drudgy and not listening to each other and stuff. I'm not a big Snyder fan. I get into it with my Snyder friends, so
I'm not either. It's really funny because
I'm sorry. I was just saying that I only watched Man of Steel and then I was done.
I tried to watch Man of Steel because somebody gave me a copy of it and I didn't know who was in it. And the moment I saw fucking Costner, I threw it away. I hate that bastard so much. I can't even see his face without wanting to punch something.
So, like, it's really funny because I grew up a Marvel kid, right? I had two older brothers that got me into comics and superheroes by way of, like, Spider-Man the animated series and X-Men and everything like that. I'd have the occasional DC thing like Batman the animated series, but for like the most part, I was a Marvel kid, and so I was never a huge Superman guy growing up. And Man of Steel was actually the film that got me to be like, well, maybe I have a wrong take on Superman, because like it was an interesting thing for me as somebody that had never appreciated a Superman story before. And then I went and I actually read Superman books, and I fell in love with the character. And every single time, and I feel like the longer that I have been a fan of Superman and the more stories that I have read of him that properly portray him, because there are a lot of good and there's a lot of bad that's going to happen when you have like 80, 90 years.
There's mixed bags with some of the stuff you got in some eras, depending on the, there was good with the 50s and 60s era Superman stuff. But at the same time, you had all that, 50s and 60s cheese at the same time. So sometimes it got over the top. Christopher Reeve played the part brilliantly, but there's still some of the 80s cheese to it too. So you have that comparing to it. But I grew up where I loved everything in it. I went through Marvel and DC stuff. If you know what DC Universe and DC Heroes has become now, what they started at in the 90s was a RPG game based on D&D, which was book-based with dice.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my brother used to play that together. If that gives you a clue what we were like. Literally, the whole game was you create your own superheroes and you make them war with each other.
No, I got you. But to bring this back around is that when the farther that I've gotten into Superman's lore, the more that when I've gone back and see Man of Steel, I don't like it. Like it's one of those things where. And it's really funny because I remember when that movie came out, Snyder's like big defense of it was like, if you've read a Superman comic, you know that I didn't change that character. And I just go, man.
Snyder's a bloviating sack of shit full of himself.
Yeah, I think he is his own worst enemy.
And please understand, I still call out the people who've said horrible things about him and his daughter and stuff like that every day of the week. That side of the people that claim to be on our side, I don't like them either. But I still can detest him and his artwork and still treat him with decency.
I think that he is a tremendous visual director. I think that he is able to create some very fantastic visual scenes, but he is also his own worst enemy because he buys into his own hype, and he has an ego the size of a planet.
On the visual, I will say he's definitely better than the ones they're always talking about loving, like Ryan and JJ and them. Their visuals suck. It's just like vomiting out lens flare and flashes and saying that it's good, and I don't know why people praise him so much. His visual still tends to be a little heavy-handed at times and a little hard to see in some scenes. And sometimes is a little flashy for things that don't really need it, but it's not as bad as the others.
I think that the big thing, especially when you're looking at Snyder's superhero work, and it's specifically in his superhero work, every single time he does anything, he wants it to feel like a Frank Miller or Alan Moore book from the 80s.
And I get that. I'm saying very slightly tweak spots in lighting, so you still get that effect, but it's a little easier to see for some people, is what I'm saying he can do.
I don't even think that that's necessarily the right... Like his viewpoint on that is correct, and I think that that's probably the biggest problem. I think that Zack Snyder wants every comic book movie to be The Watchmen.
Yeah, and my viewpoint is you could still do that. My viewpoint is you could still get all the dark and the gritty and stuff, but you need to make certain colors, certain lighting positions, certain things pop out more, and cut back on the things like flashes and stuff to compensate, and it will make it more visually appealing and watchable for all people, including people who have vision issues, elderly, and other stuff.
There is absolutely validity to that. I also feel that the big problem here is that it showcases that Zack Snyder has and it's not just Snyder.
A little one-dimensional.
Is a complete misunderstanding of what Alan Moore was trying to say with The Watchmen. like Alan Moore's The Watchmen is a dark satire that's meant to showcase how the over-the-top nature of superheroes doesn't really work with blending in with like the realism and everything like that. It's meant to be a commentary on why this doesn't work.
Well, that would be like, while we're at it, let's just do a really serious comic and just look to Don Chin for inspiration, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people seem to forget what satire and spoofing is, and they seem to act like some of these artists are serious. It's like, okay, I'm an absolute Mel Brooks addict. I have everything he's ever done. I'm addicted to it. I can teach you things about obscure plays and shows he was on and things he wrote first and stuff. But if I was looking to make something serious, I wouldn't reference him.
No, not at all. But like that's the whole thing is I think that a lot of people miss it with Alan Moore's The Watchmen because it does come off as dark and serious. Like the big thing is that Alan Moore is a Brit and they have dark sense of humor. They have dark sensibilities.
British sense of humor often doesn't actually sound like it's meant to be humor. It sounds dead serious. Even in some of their more comic movies, even when you're getting into the girly comic stuff like Bridget Jones, there's a lot of it that sounds serious that isn't.
Yeah, like unless it's like blatantly silly like Monty Python, then it's
most of their humor is very understated and kind of gritty and dark. Naturally, that's kind of British culture. So you have to consider that when you're comparing things.
Yeah, like and that's the whole thing. I think that's the biggest problem.
Let's base an American comic and try to be serious, and let's just base it on My Hero and Thermo Man from England while we're at it. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw that show.
No.
Well, I want to make
a Britcom about a superhero from another planet, and it's fucked up.
Well, I want to make a very serious sequel to Spice World.
No, for fuck's sakes. I stopped talking to let you say that bullshit. Shut up, Ben. Go in your corner.
I own this damn channel.
It's like, this is my show.
I was waiting to see if he'd actually catch that and tell me to stop.
Spice World, it has all those elements of Alan Moore, and
No, it doesn't. It has all the elements of a bunch of dumb sluts showing off their bodies. I mean,
no, it just has like really bad writing that completely falls apart at the end to the point where they're literally just making fun of their own movie. Kind of like what Marvel's turning into.
Well, like there is an occasional thing that comes out from them that gets me to like raise my eyebrow and go like, okay, you've got my attention. Like they just announced that they're doing a Thunderbolts movie, and the lineup that they have for it, my interest is piqued. I'm going to be paying attention to it.
damn it, why is
Ben goes into his box of shame. Yes, because like they announced that they're doing you've got U.S. Agent, you've got Winter Soldier, Yelena Belova, Black Widow, Taskmaster, and Abomination, and I think they're and Zemo. And I'm not gonna lie to you. If the thing that's going to like cinch this for me into being like cautiously optimistic is if they confirm the intent that they're going to soft reboot Taskmaster to be more like what he is in the books. If they do that, it's gonna be like, all right, you're getting a one shot with this, because like there's no like you're going to be very hard pressed to try and politicize this shit.
They'll find a way.
I mean, they probably will, but like if you're just doing if they're doing this as effectively an answer, like an answer shot to Gunn's Suicide Squad or what have you, I am there for it, especially if it gets me more Wyatt Russell as John Walker. I was not expecting to like that character at all. I know John Walker from the comics. I'm a huge Captain America fan. I was expecting John Walker to be very much his comic book self in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, and they actually made him the most compelling character on the program, if you ask me. He is the only reason why that show is even remotely worth watching. So I am excited for that. And him playing off Bucky Barnes, played by Sebastian Stan Moore, I think will be good. As well as Daniel Bruhl playing Zemo. I think that those three guys right there, they already have my attention. Florence Pugh as Black Widow. I mean I like her, and I think that she does a good job. I just think that the people that write her dialogue are really trying to be like Joss Whedon in the early 2000s, and she's overwritten. Her dialogue is way overwritten, and she's written to be way over witty, and I'm just like, you're literally like Natasha Romanoff stand-up edition. Like, oh, I can do all the cool stuff, but let me show you where my real passion is at being a Def Jam comic. And just one-liners and commentary and being funny and witty, and I go, okay, you're an assassin. How about you shut up and kill people? Like,
no, I know, like,
she's an assassin who was horribly abused and sterilized as a child by her government. She shouldn't be witty. She should be bitchy as hell and maybe dark humor.
Well, and that's my whole thing. Like, how you cope with trauma is how you cope with trauma. I don't think there's not a universal,
but the personality is not going to be la 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 la. You know,
I think that they make her too tongue in cheek. You know, I'm fine with it during down moments, like when you're not in the shit. Like, you know, I served in the Army Infantry for fucking 6 years.
See what Ben's looking at,
and when you're out in the field and what have you, when you're not on mission, you're smoking and joking, right? You're bullshitting with your buddies, you're acting like complete and utter fucking idiots. But the moment that it's time to get full battle rattle on, the moment that it's time for you to get in the mission, a switch goes off, right? So like I'm fine with her having that like fun personality where she's making all the jokes and everything.
It's the style and the timing is what I was getting at. And
yeah, like
usually the humor type for the dark is usually still more twisted, more dark humor and stuff, not really lighthearted, silly.
Potentially. I mean, again, everybody handles trauma. Everybody handles that stuff different ways.
I'm speaking as a like general, like 90%. It's not usually lighthearted if you've been through that kind of shit.
I can't say that. I served with several guys with PTSD that were super goofy and didn't say like dark shit at all. But then when they got triggered, shit happened. It's not something that's a blanket.
It's not blanket. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as a general. There is a more streamlined, and again, I understand there's some there. I've worked with victims for like well over a decade, so I'm talking about a statistical average over thousands of people.
Yeah, well, and that's all. Like my whole thing with it is that I feel that the moment that they're in like the moment that they're in operation, the witty tongue-in-cheek shit needs to not be there because like
that shit goes away when you're dealing with shit. Look, Ben, how fucked up and crazy do I act?
Like
from the shit I've been through. From the shit I've been through, how crazy, mouthy, fucked up, and silly do I act when I'm actually dealing with the things I'm battling for, the fights for victims, when I'm dealing with people who are a threat to the people I'm caring for? That's it. There's nothing lighthearted there. I'm watching everything.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying is I think that's where Yelena's problem is. Like, yeah, Natasha could be a little bit bantery during action sequences and what have you, but it was usually when there's a lull, like when you're watching Winter Soldier and they get onto the ship at the beginning, and Cap's just cleared the ship, and she's asking him about the girls from the office to try and set him up on a date, and he goes, get to your objective, then find me a date. Like then the moment that happens, she goes down. Like, yeah, she has like one-liner when she like knocks them out, but that's like your standard action movie kind of thing. But like Pew's Yelena is constantly making jokes and quips and everything during the fights. And I guess that's a way you can kind of showcase that she's not Natasha. This is that. But like, again, it's one of those things that to me is when you are that kind of an operative, it's when the mission is on, and it's game time. You've got shit to get done. You got time hacks. Every plan is only viable until first contact. The moment that you hit contact is the moment that fucking everything goes out the window. So you need to be on. And so like
I get that so much more than I think a lot of people who are civilians would, because while I may not have been able to serve, I've dealt with so much horrific shit. I dealt with so many things with victims and protecting them from people and shit that you can't be silly when you get to that stuff. You can't be silly when you're helping find a missing kid. You can't be silly when you're doing that shit.
Yeah.
And for the MCU, like for me, like strictly from just a storytelling point of view, ever since like around like Guardians and Thor Ragnarok, there's been this habit where it's like the writers are trying to make it so funny that they undercut all the dramatic moments.
Well, and I feel like Gunn was able to do the humor and everything very well with Guardians and what have you, because he wanted it to be, he was genuine what he was doing. He's just like, he leans more towards the comedic. But Ragnarok was a parody of the material.
Exactly.
And I think that's that's one of the big things. I like Taika Waititi. I think Taika Waititi is a great director. I think he's a good storyteller. but I don't like that he doesn't have any reverence for the story, for the material he's adapting.
I feel
he
like
takes a lot of
Ragnarok
visual
came so
cues.
close on so many scenes, and then there were things that just completely it lost.
Well,
That's
I
where they
think
started
that,
losing it. They were trying so much to do more humor and make it more like Guardians, but the thing about Guardians was the humor was well placed in the first Guardians movie, and
I
it
would
was
say it's
while
well
it was
placed in the
dark and
second, too.
twisted. Yeah, yeah, I like the Guardians movies, and while it was twisted and sometimes inappropriate and shit, it was well placed. It was comical and it fit the characters well. Some of the stuff in Ragnarok just didn't. It didn't hit the mark, and it wasn't that it wasn't a good effort. It's just he didn't have the timing right, or he didn't have the joke quite right, or something.
Well,
Yeah,
I think that the other big core to this is that Thor isn't a freaking comedy, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't have been a comedy. The reason why Guardians worked is because Guardians is I remember when they announced they were doing the Guardians
It's
of the
comedic.
Galaxy
It's
film.
always been some, even in the
Well,
comics, it's always had some comedian style to it.
I mean, to me, when I saw that they were doing a Guardians of the Galaxy film, I knew about the Guardians, but I hadn't really delved into their source material. They would show up from time to time, and they're like Space Avengers effectively. But you've got a team with a talking raccoon and a tree that says literally, 3 words in repetition. It's effectively the superhero equivalent of a Pokemon. And and so I was just like, when they announced it, I was like, how the hell do you make this work? And
I didn't think they'd be able to do it either. And I've read the comics quite a bit.
And that was the whole thing, was that Gunn decided to make it more about, the comedic angle and this dysfunctional family coming together. And it works.
It worked.
It works very well. And,
for
good
them.
for him seeing that.
The problem with
but
the modern comic movies is they're trying so hard to find this one little thing that works, and then every other comic movies for the next 2 years tries to copy it. And it's both Marvel and DC do it. And the thing is that every character, every movie needs to have its own unique storytelling aspects because the characters are not the same. And so when they try to make them all, they fit into this box and they have the things all happen in this sequence and in this way and these kinds of humor and this kind of, it doesn't work because not every character is the same.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a very very solid analysis of it, because I think that you look at Thor, and Thor should be a classical romance, and I don't mean that in the standpoint of lovey-dovey. No, it should be like Arthur. It should be like Vulgate saga Arthurian lore.
Most romance wasn't lighthearted or mushy until more of the modern era. You look at the classic literature, romance was dark as hell.
Well, when people hear the word romance today, they associate it with a genre of novelization that is specifically geared towards the love relationship. And don't get me wrong, classical romances, they have love dynamics between characters, but it's romance as in the romantic views of good triumphing versus evil, and
that's
what overcoming barriers of love and this, that, the other. That's what I mean.
That's what I was getting to. That is, it didn't used to be defined as just the falling in love and the lovey-dovey stuff. That came at a later point. The word's definition started as the elements of fighting for the good you feel in love, and it's natural why you can see why that word became a romantic as it is now. But it's also the evolution of that word is also important. And when people said romance, and when they're talking about classic literature, there were things that they called romantic to fucking Beowulf. It wasn't a romance story, but they considered it that because in the era the word was not the same.
Correct, absolutely, and I think that's where the MCU has gone wrong. I felt that Kenneth Branagh had probably the best grasp of it. And we got a very strong start with Thor 1. I think that it's probably one of the most underappreciated MCU films, but it has
I agree.
some of the best performances from their collective ensemble.
Let me be a little bit. Let me be a little bit immature and say, plus we get to see Hemsworth's ass.
Well, I mean, what I was gonna say is, you get Tom Hiddleston's best scene as Loki is in Thor 1 when
Yes.
he confronts Odin about being a frost giant. Frickin' Chris Hemsworth explaining the 9 realms to Natalie Portman is one of the most emotionally charged scenes in the MCU, and I will fight you for it. Like it is so good, and when you hear him talking about this, you can see his passion, and it's something that you don't really get to see from Hemsworth's performance as Thor again until Infinity War.
Which by that point I had already checked out. I'll be honest. I already checked out by that point. The thing is that the first Avengers movie, I think, actually did really well using some of those comedy elements, but still staying with the story, like the characters.
Correct.
Like no, this guy's a total diva. He wants somewhere where he can have his name in the sky written down. Son of a bitch! He instantly realizes he's going to steal my building. Or I'm a god to you! Beat the shit out of him. Puny god. It was well-timed humor that fit the moment of the anger and the feelings and the emotion. Whereas when you got to the later Avenger movies, the parts I watched on them, while some of them were still decent movies to me, good movies to me, they didn't have that same spirit that first one did.
I think that Avengers Age of Ultron suffers from, at least when it came out, suffered from being quite possibly the most heavy lifting universe movie that there had been. I personally think Age of Ultron has aged like wine, because you go back and you watch it and you see everything that it set up and was holding up.
Oh, there's quite a bit of it I like. There's elements I think they didn't do as well, but there's things I really liked. I got into because they dealt with so much about how she felt being sterilized and stuff. And that's where the feminists started attacking him. And when MCU started pushing more of the female stuff was after the feminists came after him for that. Because how dare you have her so emotional about not being able to have kids? Because to any woman who actually did, that is a real thing for us. One of the top causes in suicide for women is sterility. Whether or not these feminists want to admit it or not, that breaks a lot of us. It's sure fuck what screwed me up for so many years. And they don't get that, and they won't get that because they don't want to admit that we have biological purposes that we're driven towards. We both do as different genders, just from the evolution of the species and what we've done. And it is real. And for those of us who have issues having kids or who have had issues dealing with abuse or stuff, her story in that one hit us hard.
I think literally my only complaint with Age of Ultron, I agree with you for the most part. It's just my one complaint was that was around the time I started seeing that trend where it's you place humorous moments at where it just kind of undercuts the tension of the scenes. Yeah. Where it's when Ultron first appears in that movie as that chrysalis thing, that part was great to me because it was so creepy. And then later on, he's Ultron's doing nothing but cracking jokes half the time, and I'm now
he's a snark and to counter that, I thought that was brilliant because it showcased in this movie. Obviously, in the comics, Ultron is a creation of Hank Pym. In this, he's a creation of Tony Stark, and he mirrors Tony Stark so much, even down to his snarkiness, and he can't see it. It's there. It's right there in the mirror, and he refuses to see it. And whenever somebody points it out to him, he freaks out. You have that whole scene where he straight up quotes Tony Stark without even realizing it when he's meeting with Ulysses Klaue. And Klaue goes, "Wait a second. Tony Stark said that to me once. Is this a setup?" And then he loses his shit. He goes, "How dare you compare me to him?" And he rips the guy's arm off.
No,
that goes back to the raging at the basically those who were your superiors, those who were your elders, those who were your authority figure, while still emulating them. And that's a very common human trait, actually.
Like, and I thought that was fantastic.
As I try to be serious and deep with this cat rubbing on my nose.
I mean, I get your point with that totally. I just, I like the moments where he's more creepy. Like, I like.
I mean, he's genuinely horrifying, and there's some great stuff. And I felt like I do think that there were definitely times where I felt that they could have, they could have kept to that and not had him be as tongue in cheek. Like during the final fight, there's like a point where he's singing the Pinocchio theme. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, like I get it, you're using that, but like it was creepy as hell when it happened earlier. This is just
silly now,
dorky now. But like that was one of the things that I appreciated about Infinity War is because the Russo brothers are not Joss Whedon and they don't try to be Joss Whedon. And
I liked Whedon in his early career more. But even then, there was a lot of stuff I didn't like as much. But I gotta admit, as much as it had some of the whiny, woken liberal moments, I love the Guild, and he worked with it.
Yeah,
I love stuff like that.
I like it when Whedon isn't sexually harassing people.
I mean,
let's find people who aren't twisted sickos and perverts in this culture right now, because I'm starting to feel disheartened with that.
But yeah, as far as Infinity War was concerned, though, it was nice because the Russo brothers brought that gravity, I felt. And the thing that I liked about Infinity War was it wasn't an Avengers movie. It was a Thanos film about how Thanos succeeded.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it, kitty.
But that was, and like that was though around the time, like, after Ragnarok, that was when they were starting to really go heavy on the humor moments. Like, you notice how, like, during the war scene in Wakanda, which should be like very dramatic for everybody, you got the heroes stopping in the middle of the battle to exchange little. Like, oh hey, I remember you.
There's definitely some of that, but like even when you're looking back in like classical literature, you're reading like things like the Iliad, you have moments where the heroes stop in the din of battle and acknowledge one another. And
but you can do that without.
I do think that they do it a bit too much. I felt like
there's a difference though between that classic acknowledging each other or giving each other, well, we need to do this or let's conquer for this or stuff, versus the whole vagina power moment and we're doing this as women and shit. And
that was
that's what he's talking about, the things you led to in the future movies and stuff. There's a point where it went beyond just tongue in cheek.
And that was probably the dumbest part of Endgame, and I don't think that was the Russo brothers. I think that was Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige going like, you have to do this, because it does not feel organic to anything else. It was like the Russos were probably like, how do we even do this? Like, how do we transition to this scene properly? Because there's like no reason. There's no way that you just have all of the females just get together at one point. Like, this isn't a freaking Sadie Hawkins dance.
Army, stop it! Holy crap, cat!
I mean, especially since, like, when you think about it logically, you're like, most of these characters don't know each other. And they're all like suddenly side by side.
They don't know each other, and they've been fighting in the middle of a giant cosmic battle against a.
And they're all just gonna fly over to each other and go, "We stand together as women, vagina power." What?
There's no way that was something that the Russo brothers wanted to do. That is 100% Feige and Marvel Studios being like.
That was Disney's influence. Let's be freaking honest here. That was Disney's influence.
Disney has had a very laissez-faire approach with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They did at the beginning. They definitely started getting more. They're not as uninvolved as they used to claim.
You are way too forgiving on Kevin Feige because Kevin.
Oh no!
Feige
Oh no! I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not forgiving to him. I'm just saying that Disney is not as uninvolved as they used to be.
I think that they pretty much have a whole thing of you guys make us $1 billion per film release. You guys do whatever the fuck you want. That is Disney's. That has been Disney's mentality with them, especially since Avengers, which is where they started. Feige has pretty much creative control over everything that goes on in the MCU. That is 100% Feige.
No,
that is 100%.
He has
Feige.
ultimate control. I do believe that they are doing more things like saying, can't you throw in a moment for this? Because this is something that our company's pushing right now. I do think they're doing more of that stuff.
I think that
potentially,
going.
I think that Feige's already on that train. They don't have to have that conversation with him. That's the whole thing.
But I do probably need to get going here. I've got a lot of work to get done still. If I can get this cat off me. She's like, no, I want attention.
Everybody, this is also Rosetta's wish list we've had on the screen for a while now.
Because we all kept yapping.
But,
this is a simple thing. I posted this to see if anybody could contribute or help. It will go to memory stuff I'm doing for my father for losing him. So,
sorry for your loss.
It's been about 2 months. I've spent the whole 2 months fundraising to help pay things for my mom and do stuff. And that included 6 weeks on oxygen while still making and selling stuff to help fundraise to take care of mom. So
you just off the cat.
Yeah, I went serious. She doesn't like that. Everything's supposed to be about her.
Yeah.
You guys have a good day. I gotta get going. Stay out of trouble, Ben. Bye.
Yeah, I get in so much trouble.
Absolutely. But yeah, man. I get what you're saying though, as far as I felt like the moment that the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 came out, there was this push where it was like, we have to make everything this funny.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's just like, look, man, not every fucking film needs to be this.
Exactly. And it's like you're gonna beat it to death.
You're going to make this become a whole thing where now people no longer feel like the Guardians are special because this was their dynamic. And it's unfortunate. I think that's like the biggest failure that MCU had was not doing Thor 2 properly. I felt that Thor 2, oh man, I have talked at nauseum with my friends on how I would have handled Thor 2. You want to know how I would have handled Thor 2? I would have had it be that Thor was using Mjolnir to rebuild the Bifrost Bridge across the entire Nine Realms, is on a space Viking ship with the Warriors 3 and Sif, and the villain is the Enchantress and Scourge and the Midgard Serpent. Because he is because effectively what ends up happening is the inciting incident is the first quarter of the film as he reestablishes the Bifrost connection to Jotunheim and everything and makes peace there. Yeah. Well, I guess you can't do that. Jotunheim gets destroyed by Loki at the end of at Thor, doesn't it?
I wasn't sure about that. I thought he was trying to destroy it and Thor stopped him by breaking.
Yeah, that's right. So he reestablishes the link to Jotunheim and makes peace there. But then when he gets back, he's about to Asgard. He's about to set off to finish the Bifrost Bridge to Earth so that he can finally be with Jane. And Odin tells him no because he's had visions of Ragnarok. And that he needs Thor to stay. And so Thor rebels, and the Warriors 3 aren't going to let their buddy go off alone. Sif's not going to let Thor go off alone. And So Odin, out of spite, sends the Enchantress and the Executioner after Thor. And while they're having a clash, they wake up the Midgard serpent.
This is way better than what we got.
And so the second half of the movie is effectively both parties, the Enchantress and Scourge and Thor and the Warriors 3, know that the Midgard serpent is there, and they're trying not to wake it. And so it's like a race across to build the Bifrost, and do so quietly so that they don't disturb the Midgard serpent. And then effectively Sif finds out that Thor's doing this so that he can get back with Jane, and she has a moment of weakness because she has feelings for Thor, and she stalls the construction long enough for the Enchantress and Scourge to catch up. And the Enchantress shows up, and she's been promised to be married to Thor. That's her price. Is that she'll be the new princess of Asgard.
Shit.
And so you have all of that, and then the Executioner is the Executioner. He's just big, silent, badass. And so the Warriors 3 end up fighting Scourge. While Thor is trying to repair the Bifrost, the Enchantress and him start fighting, and the Midgard serpent wakes up. And then Sif redeems herself by taking on the Enchantress while Thor fights the Midgard serpent with his bare hands because the Enchantress has it under a spell and he can't pick it up.
Damn. But I mean, wouldn't you rather have King Valkyrie?
And then you want to know what the Midgard serpent has? Want to know what its heart is? The Reality Stone.
Oh fuck!
So when he kills the Midgard serpent, he gets what they make the ether in Thor 2. So that way you can fit it into the Infinity Saga and the Infinity Gauntlet. The Midgard serpent has in its core an Infinity Stone.
I mean, that would... Shit. Man. I wish we had gotten that.
Much better movie. And Odin's watching all of this happen through you'll get he's watching it through two ways. Heimdall, and who's kind of acting as a double agent. He's working for Odin because he has to, but he's also letting Thor know. He's giving them inside knowledge so that Thor can outmaneuver the Enchantress and Scourge. And then when Odin finds out about this, he has Heimdall thrown in prison and is watching them through Hunin and Mungen.
Oh man. So much we could have gotten. But I mean, I know that wouldn't you rather have King Valkyrie looking for her queen? And...
It's so dumb. You could have still done all of that shit. And that's my problem is it's you guys just saw, you guys, the thing that's frustrating to me is all they saw from Thor 1 was everyone really likes Tom Hiddleston. And nobody saw what Hemsworth could bring to the table with his in his own accord, in his own right. And you could have had this whole thing be why is Thor the one going out there to repair it? He knows the 9 realms better than anyone. He knows them almost as well as Odin does. And you have that established because who's the person that explained the connection of the 9 realms to not just Jane Foster, but the audience for the first time. It's Chris Hemsworth's Thor.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
And then you could have saved Loki for the third film and had because Odin's so focused on getting Thor back, Loki escapes and does a coup.
Yep.
You could have also set up Balder the Great. You could have done all of this great stuff, man. But instead, you got people that didn't care. And the biggest crime, you had Christoph Eccleston, a member of the Royal Shakespearean Company and a Doctor Who, playing probably the wiliest Thor villain outside of Loki. And he is utterly forgettable. Malekith the Accursed?
Yeah.
Really? That's how you're going to do this? Come on, guys.
Yeah, that whole, like, everything about the Dark Elves in that movie, like, the whole time I'm thinking, this just feels like they're trying to ape off of Lord of the Rings.
They just didn't know what to do. And I think that that's the biggest problem that they had, was they had no idea what to do with Thor. I think Kenneth Branagh was the only one that had a viable idea to start with. And so they ran with it, and it got lukewarm response. But I felt like the bare bones were there. Like, I think that Branagh had the right ideas. He just didn't have as strong of a script. And I don't know if he wrote the film. Let's look that up real quick. Or 2013. Because I it wouldn't surprise me if I did not want Thor: The Dark World. I've literally been shitting about on that movie for the past 20 minutes.
Well, I mean, it's worthy of it, because that was the era. That was the point where they were like, okay, we need to do something totally different, and that's when they got Taika Waititi in.
Well, in Taika, as I said, Taika is a great director, and I love his visual style, and that's the one thing that he brought, the one thing that Taika brings from the comics that I absolutely adore him for. And it's what makes me so conflicted about him, is that he loves the comic book visuals and he leans into them so hard. Like, dude, Asgard looks like Jack Kirby's drawings in Thor Ragnarok. So much of everything looks like fucking Kirby style stuff. Hell, Thor Love and Thunder, it rips me to pieces seeing that trailer, because I know that it's just going to be parodying, but I'm straight up seeing panels from the Jason Aaron run.
Yeah.
Being brought to life. And I'm just like, dude, what the fuck, man? And I hate what they've done to Gore's design, but oh man, Christian Bale is going to kill that. His line delivery in the trailers has been fucking phenomenal. He is perfect as Gore the God Butcher. And again, it's one of those things guys, Star Wars just got back into doing live action prosthetics and have made them so fucking cool looking. Why the hell are you not making Gore look comic accurate? This feels like a massive, massive misstep. Why are you doing this? Please undo this crap. Okay, so directed by Kenneth Branagh, but he did not write it. Story was by J. Michael Straczynski. That makes sense. That's why the base story is really good, but the screenplay is by Ashley Edward Miller, who's known for... Oh, no fucking bull. You wrote Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles. Why? Why were you hired? Dude, just let Kenneth Branagh. If you're having issues with that, just have Kenneth Branagh write it. The guy does that shit all the time anyway.
Jesus God. Yeah, the thing about Thor Ragnarok was that there were moments in that movie that I enjoyed. It's just that there were the thing that drove me that I really didn't like was just when like the main moment that I hated was the very end, because you had that moment where when Asgard is destroyed, that should be a very heavy moment for Thor, and they had to undercut it with a cheap joke.
Well, it's like, for me, I think that's pretty much just the whole movie, is that he doesn't get... nothing feels like it has any weight.
Yes.
I think is my biggest problem.
Yeah,
nothing
like,
feels like it has any weight. And
it's like, if you're gonna do a lighthearted Thor movie, you don't do it about Ragnarok.
Hold on one sec.
Yeah, no problem.
My whole thing with Ragnarok was, and it was, thank God the Russos capitalized on it in Infinity War, because the best Hemsworth acting that we got since the first Thor film was Thor talking to Rocket in Infinity War when they're heading to make the Thanos slaying weapon. They're making the Stormbreaker, and he's like, I've lived millennia. I've lived over 15,000 years, and there has never been an enemy that I haven't killed. And Thanos is going to find that out. And then Rocky goes, well, he already did face you. Yeah, well, he didn't face me twice. Yeah. He's given me a reason to kill him. And I was just like, okay, yeah, like, this is good. And it was what was missing from Ragnarok. I mean, like, I felt that with how, there were so many things that just left a sour taste in my mouth. Hela just annihilating the Warriors 3 and there being like no consequence to that. Like, I was just like, come on, man.
Yeah, and they didn't even, it wasn't even brought up again.
Yeah.
Like those are his best friends.
They get jobbered so hard. They get jobbered so hard, and then it's just, it's not even it's not even brought up to Thor.
Yeah.
There's no pathos there. And it's unfortunate because Thor Ragnarok could have been so much more. And from a thematic standpoint, you've got this version of Valkyrie, and the whole point of the movie is that everyone's kind of dealing with this trauma of loss and how to move forward. But you never have any of the characters actually deal with trauma. That kind of does. Like, she faces her demon in Hela, but at the end of the day, you have this character, and I think that another big valid criticism is that Thor has had the exact same character journey every one of his fucking solo films. Who is Thor? It's like, it goes back to Marvel doesn't know what to do with this fucking character. Because they can't even answer that question. They can't tell you. And that's all well and good, but that's why you fucking scout for somebody that can give you that answer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, man, like, it's a shame. It's one of those things where it's unfortunate because it's not like I would have been able to do anything anywhere. I was like, Thor Dark World came out in 2013. I was 2 years out of high school, Yeah. 2-3 years out of high school at the time. So it's not like I could have just freaking written up to Marvel Studios after the success of 2012's Avengers and been like, so listen here. I know how you handle this. Just
But like that's my whole thing is I see this and I go, man. And it's crazy because they're now starting to actually play with some of this stuff. Like in the Thor Love and Thunder trailer, you get to see Thor's like Viking spaceship being pulled around by the space rams.
Yeah.
That he's got in the books. You could have had that shit in the second movie. You could have had that, like, literally had him have like the space chariot and with the rams pulling him across the sky as a part of him rebuilding the Bifrost, because the Bifrost isn't fully rebuilt by the time of Avengers 1. He gets sent there by Odin's magic.
Yep.
You could have had you didn't need to have Tom Hiddleston be in that sequel. You could have had this lean entirely on Thor. And you know what? Natalie Portman didn't even want to be in the second movie, and you could have actively had it be like, okay, we're going to pay you for the second film. You're going to be in the film for maybe 5 minutes. You're going to film one scene, and that one scene is going to be when Thor finally gets to Earth at the very end, and you reunite with him, and that's it. That's all you have to do. If you want to, we'll talk to you about optioning you to come back for a third film, if that's something that you change your mind about. But like, we'll pay you in full because you're Natalie fucking Portman. Like at that point in time, she had just won an Oscar for Black Swan. You know, like she was a big deal. So it was just like, we'll pay you for that, but we don't even really fucking need you. This is gonna be Chris Hemsworth's film.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the big problem, is like they completely underutilized this guy and
totally
didn't realize what they had. It's like, okay, so you've got Iron Man, who's your tech guy, right? You've got Captain America, who's your political thriller story. You got Hulk. We weren't going to be getting a solo Hulk film, so let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about just the three guys that they could make solo films of at the time, with the rights that they had license for. You had, so you had, and they capitalized on these. You know, Iron Man, he's your tech guy. He they kind of envisioned him to be like Elon Musk, when they were redefining Tony Stark for the MCU, and it works. Captain America, the first Avenger, they're like, okay, well, we're going to set this in World War II. And so they got the guy who directed The Rocketeer, which was a great fucking choice, to make a World War II war movie with a superhero in it. And it works. But then it's like, okay, well, he's in the present now. What do? We fucking shoehorn in the Ed Brubaker run and make this a political thriller. Fantastic. Good. What do we do with Thor? Well, the first Thor kind of didn't work because we had no idea what to do with him. All right, let's sit at the drawing table here. What is Thor? Well, Thor is your high medieval fantasy, man. Like, that's what it is. It's high medieval fantasy mixed with sci-fi. It's freaking Lancelot with a laser sword. You can do so much shit here. Come on. You can have so much charm and whimsy, and you've got Chris Hemsworth, who's got this natural charisma.
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather have Lady Thor?
I mean, to be fair, and this is what I will say. I know that we give shit to all of the all new, all different Marvel stuff that came out where they were just switching people's roles. Jane Foster's Mighty Thor run started off fantastic and has one of the coolest frickin' stories of them. Jason Aaron tried very hard to make that work, and to his credit, he did. Because Jane Foster, her story was she was dying of cancer, and her courage that she showed fighting cancer is what made her worthy. And every single time she picks up the hammer cures her body of the chemotherapy used to kill her cancer cells and rejuvenates her cancer cells. So when she comes back to her physical body, her body is still worn out from all the chemotherapy, but has been cured of all the radiation treatment, and the cancer cells are back. So being Thor is actively killing her, and she's doing it anyway because it's the right thing to do. That's badass. Like like the whole it's a title. Yeah, it's dumb, but if you're going off of the rules of what it was initially in Marvel, which it's been wish-washy ever since. The inscription on the hammer is whosoever wields this hammer, if they be worthy, wield the power of Thor. Right? Whenever you pick up the hammer, you're effectively Thor. If you're worthy of it, you pick it up, you become Thor. It's a missed opportunity for every fucking time Steve Rogers has lifted up that goddamn thing in the books. Why my boy Steve's never been clad in fucking Asgardian regalia is beyond annoying for me. Like, even when he did it in Secret Empire and lifts is like, okay, cool. So, like, you know, everyone else gets the cool Thor costume, except my boy Steve. You know, Captain America themed Thor costume is not going to happen, I guess. Fuck you too. Not like you could have, you know, made his cowl into like a knight helmet and accentuate the wings, the eagle wings on his his mask and everything. Like, we couldn't do anything like that, could we? Assholes.
He's a man.
Anyways, point is that like I'm fine with them adapting that, but it doesn't even seem like they're going to be playing that up that much,
No.
And it's unfortunate because like that's what really makes that story, and she can't just be Thor all the time, and so her having this whole thing where she's effectively killing herself to be a hero that the world needs was good. It was good writing. We're not going to get that.
Yeah, no.
I hope we do. That
It's going to be
cool
silly
thing to
and
do.
quirky.
Not much. What's up? Yeah.
Well, you know, basically what they need to do is, you know, if DC really wants to save what Superman is on the screen, they need to have him fighting Goku and losing.
That's dumb too. That's such a stupid fight. You can like one better as a character, but Superman has literally held up a concept of infinity with physical strength. Goku does not have infinite strength. And it doesn't matter how much more powerful Goku becomes and what Tenkai boost he has, he's never going to reach infinity. And he is never, ever going to get to a point where he is okay utilizing kryptonite or taking advantage of Superman being in red sunlight. He is always going to want to fight Superman at his best. And if Superman is at his best, Goku loses. Full stop.
Well, Ultra Instinct, though.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like, Ultra Instinct is very impressive. Goku can't hold on to Ultra Instinct permanently.
Well, in the manga, he's working on it.
He's working on it, but it still takes a toll. Like, no one is able to just stay in Ultra Instinct. It takes a toll. It runs out. It is not an infinite source.
No, that's true. Although Whis might be able to hold his own.
Whis is an angel, and we don't know enough about any of that, because I don't think Whis is constantly using Ultra Instinct. I just think that Whis is powerful enough to where his base is what Goku's Ultra Instinct is.
Well, yeah, like they basically said, like the angels, like Ultra Instinct for them is their natural style of fighting.
Yeah. So like either way, the point is that if you have that kind of fight, it doesn't matter. Superman is going to win that fight every day of the week, because what it's going to come down to is, and Death Battle did this. They've done this fight like 2, if not 3 times. And every single time it always comes back to, does Goku use the kryptonite? And the answer is no. He will not use it.
Yeah.
The moment he realized that it's affecting Superman in any negative capacity in terms of his abilities, he will destroy the piece of kryptonite. And then Superman will return to full strength. And out of sheer attrition, Superman will win.
No, I mean, that is true. And same would go for Vegeta, because, like, that's a Saiyan thing. Like, we're not going to win by using cheap tactics.
Well, Vegeta would if it was back during Saiyan Saga, but Saiyan Saga Vegeta wouldn't be able to keep up with Superman.
Yeah.
Superman would take him out like within minutes.
Yes.
Like Vegeta at that point would be no different than like a C list on Superman's catalog.
Yeah, that's back in the day.
But like Vegeta has gotten well beyond that point now. Like I was even thinking about that, because it used to be where I'd be like, well, if Vegeta went up against Superman, there'd come a point where he'd be willing to use the kryptonite. But the more I've thought about it, I was like, no, because in Cell Saga he has the clear advantage over Cell when he unlocks Super Vegeta, and he literally lets Cell get to perfect form because he's bored.
The challenge.
Yeah, like so. No, he wouldn't take the kryptonite bait either. He'd destroy it. So yeah. Superman's beaten both of them.
Well, shit.
But anyways, I've got to pop off. It's been great chatting.
Cool. Yeah, bud. Come back on anytime.
Yeah, man. Just you know, keep dropping the links. I'll see if I can't pop on.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Cheers.
All right. That was one hell of a conversation. I was getting into that. Damn. Lord Almighty, y'all. Well, it is about that time to wrap it up for me. But real quick, I'm going to try to get in my last minute shill here. If I can pull it up. Man, that was a good conversation. I love nerding out, and it has been a while since we've been able to nerd out like that. Because Rosetta loves to undercut my topic no matter what it is. She enjoys it. She thrives on it. She thrives on it. Something about me being in pain, like women just really love when I'm in pain. So anyway, in case you haven't heard me repeat myself 10 million times before, Outlaw Knights, Genesis of a Renegade Part 2, the mailing list is up. I'm not going to be launching this campaign until I get at least 100 people on this list. So far, we've got 76 people, which is very good, but we got to get better, y'all. We got to get it up there. That's what she said. So, I'm going to need at least 24 y'all to sign up on this list. And you're going to want to be on the email list, because you're going to get access to exclusive perks that are not going to be on the main campaign, such as being able to get 2 for the price of 1. That one is going to be a very, very limited tier, as I have a limited number of books already printed up. So, get on that list so that you can be first in line. Because again, I'm thinking there's really only going to be like 3 available of that. So, it's going to be first come, first serve. So yeah, get in on this action. This has been a really fun stream. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I am currently editing the review of Blade Devil Ghosts of the Past. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to this here channel. Go ahead and hit the dislike button for all I care. You know why? Because I can't see it, because YouTube won't let me. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining us on this beautiful Saturday. We will talk to you all next time.